North Korea test-fired a long-range missile Wednesday morning, which the South Korean and U.S. militaries are saying was an ICBM. It reached an altitude of 4,500 kilometers, far higher than any of the North's previous missiles, and came down in the East Sea, in Japan's territorial waters. It's believed this missile would be able to fly across the Pacific and reach just about anywhere in the United States. Oh Jung-hee has our top story.
North Korea fired a long-range ballistic missile early Wednesday morning, identified by the regime as a newly developed Hwasong-15 ICBM. The missile was fired at around 3:17 a.m. from Pyeongseong, a city located 30 kilometers north of Pyongyang. It flew 960 kilometers eastward for about 50 minutes and landed in the waters west of Japan. The missile was launched at a lofted angle, reaching 4,500 kilometers, higher than any other previously launched North Korean missile. Hwasong-15 is seen to be an upgraded version of the Hwasong-14 ICBM. Compared to the Hwasong-14 ICBMs launched in July, experts say Hwasong-15 seems to have a stronger engine and so flies farther.
The previous Hwasong-14 missiles could fly up to 8,000 or 9,000 kilometers, reaching the western part of the U.S., but Wednesday's missile will be able to fly 11,000 to 12,000 kilometers. That covers the whole United States, including the eastern area.
And Pyongyang aimed to make an even greater impact out of this missile launch, launching it at early dawn.
Firing a missile at 3 o'clock in the morning is indeed a sudden attack and helps the regime see how quick South Korea and the US are to respond. Also, as it's daytime in the US, the North aimed to send an even more alarming message to the US.
But in contrast to how a couple of the regime's missiles flew over Japan in August and September and fell in the waters east of Japan, this time Pyongyang decided to step back.
If the North makes its missile land near the US, then the political shock it sends to the world will be too large for it to handle, which may possibly lead to stronger international pressure.
The other experts suggested this may be rather because North Korea was not able to make technological progress in other areas like re-entry technology.
The North didn't mention re-entry technology in today's announcement, and instead of shooting the missile at a normal trajectory and let it pass over Japan, Pyongyang once again fired its missile at a lofted angle. This implies that it may have not solved other technological issues like missile re-entry.
The Joint Chiefs of Staff say the recent launch could be seen as a protest against the recent economic sanctions against the regime, as well as Washington reinstating North Korea as a state sponsor of terrorism. The South Korean military stressed it is never letting its guard down and is always ready to strike back.
South Korean forces launched precision strike missiles near the northern limit line in the East Sea just 6 minutes after the North Korean launch was detected. The JCS says it involved the Army's missile unit, one of the Navy's Aegis destroyers, and one of the Air Force's KF-16 fighter jets, each firing at a simulated target with the distance calibrated to match that of the location where North Korea test-fired its missile.
The South Korean military is keeping close tabs on North Korea's military activities. Our military could destroy the origin of the provocation and nuclear facilities with precision on any given day from the ground, sea, or air.
Well, Shannon, we're running out of options and we're running out of time. This was a period that people were hoping would end with at least some opening for diplomacy, that there would be some different path that the regime in Pyongyang would be willing to take in response to the pressures that have been applied. The Trump administration has been very aggressive in dealing with this issue and very forthright in that it's going to work with regional countries, some allies, the relationship's a bit more complicated than that on this issue, but trying to get more pressure on North Korea economically and diplomatically. And when this is the response, this act of extreme defiance from Kim Jong-un, it's incredibly discouraging because time is not on our side here. They are on a progression. They are moving closer and closer to being able to hit us with a nuclear weapon here in the U.S. homeland, as we know, and we can't just continue to hope that diplomacy will work. So, as I said, there aren't any good options, and the options are getting smaller and smaller as time goes on.
What you're basically saying is we are heading towards a major war on the Korean Peninsula again.
Or you are heading toward North Korea with nuclear weapon. I think what the United States has to look at is destroying North Korea's ballistic missile facilities and its nuclear facilities. I think as well we would have to take steps to protect against North Korean retaliation against South Korea. And what they would probably do is attack the city of Seoul. Now, focus on this for a minute. North Korea's strategy would be to commit an act of terrorism by killing innocent South Korean civilians. And that's what they're prepared to do before they get nuclear weapons. The effort to stop the proliferation of nuclear weapons is on the verge of global failure. That's where we are, unless we're prepared to consider the prospect of military force, or, as I said before, China acts dramatically to overthrow the Kim regime or to help us reunite the two Koreas.
South Korea's intelligence agency briefed the National Assembly on the missile launched earlier Wednesday, explaining that the rocket appears to be an upgraded version of the Hwasong-14. And it added that there could be more provocations to come. Kim Min-ji reports.
South Korea's intelligence agency says North Korea's latest missile is the most advanced ICBM that it has tested so far. At a parliamentary briefing on Wednesday, the National Intelligence Service was quoted as saying that it was an upgrade from the ICBMs the North has launched previously, flying higher and faster.
The NIS said the distance flown was about 960 kilometers, with an apogee of around 4,500 kilometers. Given the high altitude and speed, it appears to be an improvement on the Hwasong-14.
The spy agency's analysis is in line with Pyongyang's own statement, which it made hours after the test, claiming a successful launch of the Hwasong-15. The NIS said there were several likely reasons for the latest provocation: to show that the North can hit the U.S., to protest the sanctions against it, and to solidify internal unity.
any other previously launched North Korean missile. Hwasong-15 is seen to be an upgraded version of the Hwasong-14 ICBM. Compared to the Hwasong-14 ICBMs launched in July, experts say Hwasong-15 seems to have a stronger engine and so flies farther.
The previous
was fired at around 3:17 a.m. from Pyeongseong, a city located 30 kilometers north of Pyongyang. It flew 960 kilometers eastward for about 50 minutes and landed in the waters west of Japan. The missile was launched at a lofted angle, reaching 4,500 kilometers, higher than...
The missile would be able to fly across the Pacific and reach just about anywhere in the United States. Oh Jung-hee has our top story.
North Korea fired a long-range ballistic missile early Wednesday morning, identified by the regime as a newly developed Hwasong-15 ICBM. The missile...
North Korea test-fired a long-range missile Wednesday morning, which the South Korean and U.S. militaries are saying was an ICBM. It reached an altitude of 4,500 kilometers, far higher than any of the North's previous missiles, and came down in the East Sea, in Japan's territorial waters. It's believed this